This is totally not my usual kind of video, but the channel is basically just my publicly accessible brain backup, even if 99% about gaming moments, so whatever. I had an epiphany and I want to immortalize it. The point is actually about how to achieve ultimate enlightenment and ascend above the unwashed smooth-brained masses, but I need to set the scene first. So there's this Twitter drama going on where some chick posted about getting stealthed and how she was too awkward to say anything, and there's people saying that she shouldn't engage in casual sex if she can't even assert her boundaries, and others calling that victim blaming and rape enabling and all the usual stuff, all the usual takes we've seen a billion times. But here's how that shitstorm looked from my perspective and how my brain worked through it and arrived in an entirely different place than I expected. So, first, I saw this Destiny tweet saying if you can't even say anything in that situation, well, then you don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. And on its face, this is just true. So, immediately, I had an idea about the whole controversy in my head. What the sides will be, what their arguments will be, and I was prepared to settle into my usual cozy position of the victim is never at fault, but we should still talk about ways how people can avoid becoming a victim because that can reduce the total amount of harm done. Simple. Middle of the road. Milquetoast even. I went and looked at what started it, and turns out it was Mindwaves who kicked the hornet's nest, and this is also the first time I saw the original tweet, literally framed by Mindwaves' take on it. We'll never know if seeing the original tweet first would have made me immediately look at this in some different way, but as it stands, this just cemented my view of the situation. That virtue signaling dumbfucks were missing the point as usual. Now, I do make conscious attempts at seeing both sides of an issue, and I was pretty sure I saw them here. I believe that the other side felt the need to shut down any actual discussion because it could pour salt in the wounds of people already harmed and make sex crimes seem less terrible than they really are. This was consistent with pretty much every tweet I saw shitting on Destiny and Mindwaves. Then I stumbled upon a tweet from God Among Men, Know Nothing. He pointed out that if people want to give sex advice on Twitter, that's great, but it shouldn't be centered around a specific woman who we know fuck all about. Like, make a standalone tweet instead of quote tweeting a victim. And what I realized there was everyone was pissed. Not because they really disagree with those takes, spicy as they were, but because they are so obviously true. Everyone knows this. Like, do we really believe this woman hasn't thought to herself 1,000 fucking times things like, why didn't I confront him? Why did I fuck him in the first place? Why did I ignore red flags number 1, 2, and 3? Why the fuck? I mean, imagine you get into some car accident because of a giant pothole, and you go on Twitter just to bitch about how they should fix the damn road already, and everyone's like, well, this road is in a very bad state, and you need to be careful when driving on it. Wouldn't you be like, bitch, I know. Do you think you're bringing some new information to me right now? Can you just fuck off and let me vent? Jesus fucking Christ. And now remember that we're talking about a sex crime, so this shit is amped to fucking 11. And then it suddenly made sense to me why everyone was just shouting at Destiny and Mindwaves and not addressing their point in any real way. Because it was so obviously true that I thought it was obvious that it was obvious. And they didn't spell that point out because there's no room for the obvious parts on Twitter. Those responses were really just a way of saying, thank you, Captain Obvious, but nobody asked. And then, of course, those who didn't have a positive opinion of them in the first place started ascribing deeper intentions to those tweets. Because surely they wouldn't just tweet something so basic if it wasn't a reflection of something else that they really wanted to say, right? So anyway, now I have arrived at a position where both sides are mostly sensible human beings that are just failing to communicate properly. Because Twitter. Now, I think Twitter is on a technical level built to destroy discourse, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. The real takeaway from this is that we need to not only try to understand what the other side thinks, but also never assume that we are done understanding it. It was so easy for me to see that initial pattern, especially because I first saw the original tweet literally as framed by Mindwaves, that I got a bit lazy and didn't do my due diligence in understanding the other side. Now, of course, I could still be wrong about everything, but there's this really useful heuristic in understanding what others think. The less it requires them to be stupid, evil, or any other kind of inherently reprehensible, the more likely it is to be true. Because all those simple, they're just bad versions let you hand wave way too much nuance. You're not really understanding a thought process if all you have is, well, they're just stupid. So that's all I got. Stay humble, don't get too cozy with your perspectives, don't stop thinking, keep your mind open.